Tennessee Titans have the best wing slot offset and the best U-off trips weak formation in all of Madden 26. And those are going to be the two formations we're breaking down in this video. What's also super unique about the Titans playbook is they also have trips X nasty, which we just previously broke down in the San Francisco 49ers playbook. Albeit this formation doesn't have the same plays as the Niners playbook, but you could still run this effectively and efficiently. They also have Trey Y flex, but more importantly, trips tight end flex, which we have just previously broken down in the past couple of videos. Links to all of those are going to be in the description down below. What's also really unique is they have really niche formations that you're not going to find in other playbooks. You're not going to see a box offset weak in other formations in Madden with a doubles Y off nasty and their own variation of normal Y off close. These is a really unique playbook with a lot of off meta formations for you to properly build a scheme out of if you're tired of the meta formations. But if you're in a tight situation, you still can go to some of the meta formations in this playbook. But we're specifically breaking down wing slot offset and U off trips weak because not only do they have some of the more unique passing concepts in all of Madden 26, but they also have some of the more dominant runs in Madden 26. Easily and efficiently move the ball down the field to control the clock, milk it, and of course get yourself some easy W's while still having the ability to go vertical down the field. So let's hop right into it. We're going to start it off with Cheat Ohio tight end attack. So we got a really cool auto motion from the running back followed by a post and an angle route from both of the tight ends. We have different variations of setups that you can utilize on this play. First, we're going to go over the easy one to run, and then of course one that is a little bit more advanced. So to start it off, we're going to take the inside slot receiver, in this case triangle, and we're going to put him on a drag. Just like that, we're going to have the underneath route for the drag to start it off, followed by the post route from the tight end as read number 2. Read number 3 is probably going to be the angle route run by the outside tight end with the check down of the running back as read number 4. So as we call hike, we're going to notice that the drag is able to get properly underneath the zones because both the angle route and the post route pull the middle hook up across the field. And the goal is to continually hit that drag route until the opponent manually guards it or shades his coverage underneath. Now, of course, once the opponent shades his coverage underneath or manually guards the post route, is going to be our next read on the play. Of course, we're going to give it an outside pass lead to ensure rack catch opportunity across the sideline. Now, a lot of the time, the user, he's going to guard the post route himself. So what I'm going to do is man up the post route to signify the user specifically taking that away. Now, when he does do that, our third read, which is of course going to be the angle route, he's going to be our wide open recipient. Of course, I like to give this one a downward pass lead and then possession catching afterward to ensure the opponent does not get a knockout animation. And then last but not least, the fourth read on this play is going to be the running back on the flat. And of course, you're not expecting too many yards on this play. If you're able to give it a nice outside pass lead, make a man miss, then of course you're looking at the 10 to 15 yard gain. If not, you're looking at the quick, easy 4 to 5. That is going to be how to beat zone defense on this one. Now, of course, this is a man beating play as well. The drag route does phenomenal against man defense. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on drag routes because we are going to be talking about drags a lot in this video, and I'm not going to waste your time on that. But of course, I do want to showcase that a drag route does beat man defense. The second read in man defense is still going to be the post route ran by the tight end, and they always get inside positioning on this one. So an outside pass lead towards the sideline, just like in zone defense, is going to do you absolute wonders. Now, if you have a good outside tight end, then you're going to get a decent amount of separation on the angle route. But of course, if you have a backup or a third stringer hanging out there, this will be a little bit more of a difficult throw to execute. But an inside pass lead, just like the post route, is going to get you a quick, easy 15 to 20 yards over the middle of the field. People usually charge like $10, $20, $30 for full scheme videos. So the fact that I'm putting these out for free deserves a like, comment, and of course a subscribe, especially if you want to see more long format breakdowns such as this. Of course, let me know on what specific you guys want to see next, or if there's something else on a question that you would like me to build upon. But other than that, hey, let's keep it moving. So now let's talk about the second setup in tight end attack. And this one is going to be a little bit more advanced because you get another read on this play. So typically with this setup, the outside receiver on the double side square is the push out route to make sure the deep zone defenders don't get in the way of the post route. But in this setup, what we're going to do is we're going to take the inside slot receiver, which is triangle, and we're going to put him on the streak, and he's going to be the push out route on this play. What we're also going to do is take the square outside receiver and we're going to put him on a drag just like this. And the difference in this variation is that now we give ourselves a seam streak for us to be able to attack over the middle of the field, which we previously didn't have in the other variation. And I call this the more advanced setup because you have to be a little bit quicker with your reads to be able to go from the seam streak to the drag to the post to the other tight end on the angle route back to the running back. That is a little bit more difficult to do, which is why I only recommend a little bit more novice passers to be able to execute this. But when you do it right, you do give yourself another read over the middle of the field with the seam streak to be able to attack vertically down the field that you previously could not do with the old setup. What it also does is it pushes out the curl flat defender and the hook zone defender for you to be able to attack the drag over the middle of the field a little bit on a cleaner route. What it also does is it pushes the middle linebacker on the hook curl to be able to throw it a little bit earlier if the pressure comes clean. What I mean by that is you're able to give it a downward pass lead just like this, and then of course you would attack that middle linebacker right underneath him, which you couldn't previously do in the other setup. For example, I'll showcase it right now. I'll put him on the drag, and you're going to notice is if I was to make that same throw, it would be an interception, just like that. So not only do you give yourself the ability to have another read on this play, with the seam streak, not only are you able to push out the defenders for you to easier hit a drag, but you also give yourself the ability to hit underneath that hook curl route on the defense. But of course, you're still able to go over the top if they do shade underneath to be able to either stop the drag or stop you from being able to hit underneath. And then of course, just let him go across the sideline, and an outside pass lead will do you wonders. Now, those are the two variations in tight end attack. Let's move on to the next. Next is motion, wide receiver, angle post. And I really love this play, specifically for the angle route ran by the slot receiver. I am yet to find a coverage in this game that properly locks it down. And I love saving this for the red zone to 10-yard line situation when I need to put that ball in the end zone, because a lot of the times the perfect cut for the angle route puts me in a spot where I'm able to pass lead it inside, possession catch it, put it in for 6. Now, the setup on this play is super simple. We're going to take the outside tight end and we're going to put him on a streak. And with the drag route from the outside receiver going all the way across the field, we basically created a flood concept on the right side of the field. What you could do is, if you have a massive speed differential between the tight ends, is you could actually stem the corner route a little bit higher or a little bit lower, depending on how much room you need in order for the streak to clear out the defenders for you to be able to hit the corner route on the other side of the field. So the reads on this play are super simple. We're going to be looking at the drag route ran by the outside receiver as read number 1. We're going to look at the angle route as read number 2. We're going to look at the corner route as read number 3. And then the running back going all the way across the field as read number 4. So we're going to call hike. And once again, we're going to look at the almighty drag route. And over the middle of the field, a nice pass lead to the outside is going to give you a lot of rack catch opportunity. And right now on the defense, we got curl flats and stock. So we're going to look at that and see if it does a decent job stopping the angle route. And what you're going to notice is that once he cuts over the middle of the field, there is a nice hole in the pocket of the zones where you can be able to fit an upward pass lead and then rack catch it up the field. You're going to notice that that was a proper 10-yard route where, of course, if you're in the red zone or on the 10-yard line, you would easily be able to fit that over the zone. So the next read on this play is going to be the tight end on the corner route. So of course, once he cuts towards the sideline, a nice outside pass lead will give you a nice 15 to 20 yard gain. And last but not least, the running back is going to be the check down opportunity. Now this one, of course, isn't going to net you too many yards unless you're able to make a man miss, but you're going to be taking the quick, easy 4 to 5 yards. So I already went over how a drag route beats man defense. So unfortunately, I'm going to skip that in this interaction. We're going to go straight to the angle route man defense. And I want you guys to see how well he's able to do in torching his coverage. Now, of course, Tyler Lockett is a decent wide receiver, but of course, he's also not the greatest. So of course, if you were to put your number 1 wide receiver in that slot, you're going to notice that there's going to be a lot of separation. I'll showcase it one more time so you can see the amount of separation that he's able to get. And then of course, because he's turning up the field already, you're going to have a lot of yards after catch opportunity when calling this. The tight end on the corner route is a great man beating option because it is very difficult to press him on the line of scrimmage, making it so he gets not only a free release, but a lot of separation to the corner of the end zone. So that's going to be motion, wide receiver, angle, post. And because the running back motion is the same as the one in cheat Ohio tight end attack, the opponent isn't going to know which variation you're running when you see the running back on the motion. So now we're going to get a little funky with motion choice wheels. Now this one is super unique and it's going to completely confuse the opponent because once he starts seeing the running back on the auto motion, he's not going to know, okay, is it cheat Ohio tight end attack? Is it wide receiver angle? No. Now we're at motion choice wheels. And this one is going to completely frustrate the opponent because it has a lot of option routes on this play that the opponent isn't going to be able to account for. Because look at the tight end X right now, the inside tight end receiver. He runs either could be a hook, he could run an out, or he could run an out and then stop in the soft spot of the zone. And he will always run the correct route compared to what the defense is running. Sometimes in cover 2, if there's a hole in the middle of the field, he'll run a hook or he'll actually run the soft squat. Or if it's main defense or match coverage, he'll just continually run the out. So whatever the opponent does on defense, the tight end will properly run the route to counter the defense, which is really cool because you almost kind of have to manually guard it. And same with the outside doubles receiver, in this case square. If it's main defense, he's running the in. If it's cover 2, he's running the post. Or if it's specific different zones, you'll see him actually run a hitch. Well, he'll stop before he cuts. Now, I haven't found the coverage where he stops on the hitch, but I have seen it happen from time to time. Now, we also have a really unique whip route ran by the slot receiver. So if I was to hot route a zig route on this play, you're going to notice that they look entirely different, which is really cool because you actually have multiple different windows to be able to attack this whip route. And now the running back doesn't stop on the behind the line of scrimmage. As a check down, he actually will become an initial read on this play as well. So that was a lot of talking. Let's talk about the adjust. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the outside tight end in this case, and we're going to put him on a wheel route. He is already on a wheel route. We don't like that wheel route. We're going to put him on a hot routed wheel route. And you're going to notice there are now 2 wheel routes on this play. And both of them are going to give you the opportunity to be read number 1. And what we're going to do is kind of utilize where is our opponent on the user and then go to the opposite side. So right now, if we were to see the opponent is kind of like hovering around right here, kind of just hanging out right here, we're probably going to go to the opposite side. But if he's right here worried about the drag and the angle route, then of course we're going to go to the tight end side. So you'll see in just a moment what I'm talking about. So let's call hike, and you're going to notice the tight end circle, he's going to be read number 1 on this play. You just give him an outside pass lead, kind of like a flat route, if you will, and the least you'll get is 4 to 5 yards. And if you're able to get the corner faster than the defender, then you're picking up a first down. We'll give it an outside pass lead, and of course you're able to now get a better animation on the run, and you're picking up 6 to 7 yards. So now we see the opponent playing this middle linebacker. He's kind of hugging around here, just hanging out. So we're going to go to the opposite side. Now we're going to look at the running back as read number 1. We see that just like that, and he gets a nice running start up the sideline, and boom, he's getting a little speed boost to pick up a first down. The whip route holds the running back, the whip route holds that curl flat defender just enough for you able to hit that whip route across the sideline. So the opponent on this play, he always has to shade his coverage underneath, because in this case, you're just going to hit him with wheels and whips until he goes frustrated. And of course, once he does shade his coverage underneath, you're going to notice that this is where we're going to start attacking the first window for the whip route. As soon as he cuts towards the middle of the field and he wants to stop to go towards the outside, that's we're going to give him a quick bullet pass to make sure we're able to, of course, turn the ball upfield for a rat catch opportunity. And then once the curl flat defender actually gets a whiff of the wheel route and starts following him across the sideline, you're actually able to hit him on the second window. And then the running back will kind of, be a little bit of a lead blocker, if you will, across the sideline. You get a little bit of a 2-for-1 action for the running. And we haven't even been looking at the tight end on the option route yet. We're going to look at him now. We're going to see what he does. And of course, in cover 3, there's a nice soft spot in the zone, and he started running the full out. So I'm actually going to go into a cover 2, and a lot of times in cover 2, instead of running the full out or the soft out, he's going to actually run a curl route. So we're going to see there, he'll stop, and then a nice pass lead down and out will give us the quick first down. And of course, I'll go to man defense real fast. Now we're in cover 1. So you're going to notice that, of course, he just runs a proper out route. And of course, without getting any press animation, you're going to notice a nice free release to the sideline where he gets positioning for an outside pass lead. And we haven't even discussed the outside square receiver right here on this play. We'll start talking about him right now, and then you're going to notice a nice hole in the void of the zone for you to be able to attack it for the down and out pass lead. I'll go to man defense on this one, and we'll do that same thing. And you're going to notice, because of that speed boost and the route, you're going to notice he has a lot of separation for a same down and out pass lead. So now I audibled it to cover 2 so you guys can notice that he's actually going to run the post route variation this time around. And you're going to notice basically a 1-play touchdown opportunity. Motion choice wheels is probably my go-to play in this formation and short yardage situations because I can always avoid the user while still giving myself the ability to go down the field if needed. It is incredibly safe because it doesn't matter what coverage the opponent calls, you still have the ability to beat it because of the option routes happening on both sides of the field on opposite sections, so the user can't guard both in order to help his defense out. So let's keep it moving. Alright, that's enough auto motion. Let's talk about some without any, like mesh spot, for example, one of the best plays in all of Madden 26. There are 2 variations of it and they both must be utilized to the fullest extent. Now, the first variation is run just like this, where you don't have to make any audibles on the play to be able to run it properly. The reads on this play are going to be both drag routes, the curl route ran by the outside tight end, and then the backside in from the outside doubles receiver. It's super basic and super straightforward, but it's super easy to run and super reliable because you're able to attack both sides of the field and underneath, and of course vertically with the backside in. And of course the second setup, we'll talk about that in just a moment, but of course I want to showcase how easy it is to run mesh spot, and that is why in my opinion mesh concepts are the best route combinations in all of Madden, because you're able to run it so easily and safely with a high floor and a high ceiling as well. You can run mesh all game if you would really like, and of course no one in it is going to be able to properly stop it, especially if you utilize the other plays in this formation. Now, I threw that in route slightly early, but this time we'll throw it in the proper window, and of course there we go. We're able to pick up a quick 15 yards. And of course in main defense, all of these routes are able to beat their prospective player, and of course outside pass lead is going to give us rack catch opportunity to be able to turn upfield across the sideline. Let's look at the hook route right now in man defense. Easy, quick 7-8 yards. And now let's look at the backside in. Once he cuts over the middle of the field, a nice down and out pass lead will give us the quickest 15 to 20 yards you'll need. Now for the second variation, I'm actually going to recommend that you run this on the short side of the field. Now you're going to notice I already did that. We want the running back on the short side of the field. And this one is a little bit more vertical while still giving yourself the underneath opportunity. What we're going to do is take the outside tight end, in this case circle, and we're going to put him on a streak. And what we basically did is we created a makeshift flood variation on this play. We have the streak, the push out the deep zone defender. We have the intermediate route, which in this case is the wheel route, and then the underneath route, which is the drag coming from the slot receiver on the opposite side of the field. So we already know that drag routes is going to do phenomenally in cover 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shade underneath to hopefully have the defense take away the drag route when it goes across the sideline. And you're going to notice this is when the wheel route shines on this play, because now there is a window as the pressure came in screaming, but you notice that there's a huge hole in the zone for the running back. So we're going to do that one more time just so you can see it in action. You're going to notice a huge hole in the zone for the running back to be able to rack catch it up the sideline and then of course field. And because he is already running vertically up the field, he's always going to have the ability to chunk yards opportunity on this play. And you don't even typically have to shade underneath and to be able to execute this. You could always do this normally just like that and then just wait for him to cross that curl flat defender. But of course, if they do not shade the coverage underneath, I'm always going to recommend to hit the drag route to ensure a wider window for you to hit the wheel route once they finally do shade under. So while this variation is, in my opinion, a lot better, you do lose that hook curl over the middle to be able to split the defense when they do run drags across of it. Of course, the mesh concept. So this variation is when you want to keep that hook route over the middle of the field to be able to dink and dunk in this offense. And then of course, this variation is when you want to attack the field vertically while still giving yourself the underneath option. Personally, I like this variation a lot more than the first one, but of course, a lot of people really like that hook over the middle of the field because it gives them another safety net. But that's going to be mesh spot. Again, I still think this is one of the best plays in route combinations in all of Madden. You must utilize it effectively and a lot to make sure the opponent stays in those underneath to over the top type defenses. PA read is next on this list, and I kind of debated whether or not I wanted to put this play in this scheme because it always comes with a predetermined offensive line, a blocking assignment, and I really hate that because sometimes it just messes everything up. But I felt like, you know what, I'll include it and let you guys be the judge for yourselves. So what we're going to be doing on this play is actually resetting the pass blocking assignment, and you're going to do that by pressing L1 on the controller, of course, and then going down on the left thumbstick for base. Once you do that, you reset the blocking assignment for the offensive line. And honestly, I just hate having to do that every single time I want to call this play. But I will say it's really nice having a play action in the scheme, so when the opponent sees a ball fake from the quarterback, he doesn't automatically try to shoot the gap and dip down on the run. You have to keep him honest, right? So the adjustments on this play are really simple. We're going to be looking at the inside tight end on this one because he is on a block and release to the flat. And because you cannot put a tight end on a flat route in Madden 26, what we're going to do is we're going to put him on a wheel. That way he kind of serves the same purpose on this play. He goes straight to the flat, gives us the opportunity to check it down. What you could do is you could put the running back on a flat if you really want to, but we kind of want him on that blocking assignment just because we want a little bit more time in the pocket. And what we're going to be doing on this play is looking at the tight end on the flat is going to be read number 1, and then read number 2 is going to be the slot receiver on the crossing route, and read number 3 is going to be the post route from the square receiver. This is a very basic play to run, but of course I wanted to include it because play action is necessary for one, if the opponent is blitzing like a loop blitz, or if you want to keep the opponent honest, specifically the user. So read number 1, the wheel route on this play. We already discussed wheel routes. I'm not going to go into it too deep. Read number 2 is going to be the triangle receiver, the slot on the inner crossing route. A nice down and out passing lead as soon as he passes the middle linebackers is where I like to lead with this ball. And of course, after that, you could ratchet catch it across the sideline. Read number 3 on this play is going to be the post route. And as soon as he clears the curl flat defender and he goes over the middle of the middle defenders, you're going to give him a nice down and out pass lead to ensure that middle third safety does not get any bright ideas. And I hate having to reset my blocking assignment every single time because in online games, I always tend to forget, and then it becomes an instant sack on the defense because somebody's going to have a one-on-one, get a block shed, and then of course your day is officially ruined. What you could do on this play is you also could put the outside doubles receiver. You could put him on an end just like this, and you basically created a mini dagger concept for yourself, just like that. You can do something like that if you want to get creative. If you don't like the post route, or you feel like, okay, it's not the safest route to throw to, you're not confident in your quarterback's ability to have that throw power to be able to fit it in tighter windows, you could do something like this as well. That way you have the opportunity to, of course, have all the reads, and then you have the backside option. Now I will say in like cover 3, because there is no flat defender on the opposite side of the field, there's nothing to pull those zones down. So unless they manually shade underneath, there's not going to be a way for you to be able to hit that in route like we just did right there for an interception. So of course you're going to have some sort of flat route going to that sideline to pull the curl flat defender down to be able to hit that in route. So in this case, unless you're not willing to do all those route combinations or those adjustments, then I'm going to recommend that you just keep it like this, and of course employ the status quo of the 3 reads of the wheel route, the crossing route, and then the backside post. Now there aren't too many defenses where the outside tight end gets open, in my opinion. It's always not necessarily a safe throw. I feel like, yes, he's open. Yes, you could do it. No, I'm not comfortable with it, which is why I don't necessarily recommend for you guys to be able to run stuff like that or making that throw on a consistent basis, because I just feel like, I don't know, it's not comfortable for me. I don't like having to rely on something like that where you can just get a knockout animation, and then of course you're sitting at a 3rd and long, 2nd and long, or if it was 4th down on this play, or you're looking to milk the clock, and then of course you want to hit him with a play action, and then that's the read you go to and you get a knockout. Now the opponent got a free timeout, just like what that happened right there. I just don't like it. I don't recommend it. It's there if you have a quarterback with a higher throw power and you feel like you could fit that window in there. It's there for you. Go ahead, attack it. It's just not the best throw for, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't recommend it, but it is there for you to do if you're able to properly execute it. Of course, that is PA read. Let's keep it moving. So I just want to go over Jailbreak Screen real fast. And this one's fun. It's cool. I really like this play, but you know what? I'm not going to call it and expect to get a bunch of yards on it unless the blocking is like that and ended up just being really, really good. But in zone defense, if you see your opponent is in zone defense, I actually called man by accident, but we're going to audible straight to cover 3. And you're going to notice that as soon as he kind of sits, you give him a nice pass lead to the outside, and then you just follow your blocks for either a huge gain or tackle behind the lines. I feel like there's no in between on this one. I feel like I either get like a 50-yard touchdown or I get tackled behind the line. I don't feel like there's an in between on this, which is why I kind of use this as a high risk, high reward type of play. Now in practice mode, I'm getting all the blocks that I needed, but I feel like in online games, I either get every pancake necessary or I get absolutely block shedded, or they completely whiff their blocks and it's a really sad day. But if you notice something like man defense, this isn't going to have the best effect to it. You're going to notice that it's probably a tackle behind the line or an interception if it's man defense. So you definitely have to know that your opponent is not in man defense to be able to run it. Now there is a miniature out route ran by the outside tight end receiver if it is man defense, just like that. But you know what, if they're pressed up on the line of scrimmage or the user kind of takes that away, then of course you're just in a really bad spot. So of course this is a zone beating play. I only recommend you calling this in zone defense, but if you do catch the opponent on something like this is another motion with a wrinkle to throw at your opponent. So there are technically 3 motion pass plays with now the jailbreak scheme. So there is 4 passing plays that we went over in this formation with the auto motion ran by the running back. So now the opponent will never ever have any opinion or ability to guess what play you are running on the offensive side, because you have so many different variations to be able to throw at him, and you have multiple different setups to be able to throw at him. So even if he does call the correct play that you're running, he still has to be wary of the variation and the setup that you're running. So that makes this scheme incredibly powerful, which is why I really wanted to go over the other off-meta formations in this playbook. Now for run play specifically, I just want to go over them once more, not necessarily calling them and showcasing them, just telling you which ones I like, because they are just basic run plays. And it's motion HB sweep. I really like the jet touch pass. There is the read option, the Z close duo. The Z close toss is also good, but it's also hit or miss. You're either losing 3 yards or you're gaining 20. The RPO alert, I really like this one when I want to specifically throw the RPO. Gut punch is such a good play on this one. This one I like to specifically save it for clutch situations or when I'm in the goal line to be able to put that ball in the end zone. And then of course a nice inside zone. Can't go wrong with an inside zone. All right, that's enough of wing slot offset. Think I went over everything? Yes. All right, let's go into U off trips week, and we're gonna kick it off with PA crossers. We're going to kick off gun you off trips week with, of course, PA crossers. Now, unfortunately, it does have a predetermined offensive blocking adjustment. So, of course, we are going to hit L1 and down on the left thumbstick to go to base to cancel that adjustment. I can't stand those, especially on play action passes. Now, of course, with certain blitzes and stuff like that, you know, having blocking adjustments is great, but in this case, it always usually ends up hurting. So there are 2 adjustments, there are 2 variations that you could run within this play. The first one is kind of stock, just like this. The only adjustment I would recommend making is putting the tight end X, the outside tight end, on a drag, because right now he runs kind of like half of a slant and half of a drag. But what usually happens is he actually just runs into the zones of the defense, and nobody wants that. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to re-drag him and make sure he goes underneath. And read number 2 on the play is going to be kind of the slanted in route, if you will, from the slot receiver. He runs diagonally first and then cuts over the middle of the field on an in route. Read number 3 is going to be the inside tight end triangle on the little seam streak post, and we'll talk about why you want to keep him on that, and then the other variation of when you would want to switch. So read number 1 is of course going to be the tight end on the drag, and drags are very self-explanatory. Hit it across the sideline, turn it upfield, pick up a bunch of yards. Read number 2 on this play is going to be the slot receiver on the in. Now, I really like this one because he actually gets underneath the hook zones a lot of the time. So a downward pass lead is very safe to be able to ensure a quick 10 yards. And of course, if you throw it underneath and then you get tackled, you'll end up pick up like 7 or 8. But of course, you know, nobody's going to complain about 7 or 8 yards per pass attempt, right? And read number 3 is going to be the inside tight end on the seam streak post. And I really like this because 1, it adds verticality to a play. And I always like adding verticality to any sort of play. But it also pushes the hook defenders out of the way for you to be able to hit the in route going over the middle of the field. As soon as the middle linebackers kind of pay some respect to it, then of course then you can hit the in route over the middle of the field. But of course I really like this variation because 1, it's simple to run. 2, you don't have to make that many adjustments because basing align the blocking adjustments can take a lot of time on the play clock, and it just gets really annoying to do all that. But of course, so real quick, we're gonna hop into man defense, and we know the drag route beats man, so we're not necessarily focused on that as we reset the blocking assignment. We're gonna be looking at the slot receiver on his diagonal in, and you're going to notice the positioning because of the diagonal always gives him inside positioning. So even though the defender did a pretty good job covering it, a down and out pass lead will always ensure he has the ability to make the catch. At minimum, that will be a 7 to 8 yard gain, and of course at most when the opponent goes across the sideline, or when the receiver goes across the sideline, I should say. So we'll do it one more time, and you're going to notice as I reset the blocking assignment that he will always have positioning on the play. So even though the defender does a good job blanketing it. And I'm really glad you're seeing that he's doing a good job blanketing it, that you're still able to throw the ball for the easy completion. So unfortunately, the drag ran by the outside tight end, and then of course the in route from the slot are the only two reliable man-beating routes on this play. Now, let's talk about the second variation on this one, because it does get a little bit more on the adjustment side, which is why it gets annoying that we do have to consistently reset the pass blocking assignments. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the outside tight end X and we're going to put him on a crossing route, just like this. What we're also going to do is take the inside tight end triangle and we're going to put him on a drag, just like that. But what we're also going to do is take the running back in this case and we're going to put him on a flat, just like that. So we basically created a flood concept on the left side of the field with the flat, crossing, and then of course the streak or the post ran by the outside receiver. We basically created a flood concept on that side, and then we created a levels concept on the middle to the right side of the field. We got the drag going over the middle, and then of course the in route going over the middle of the field. So we have the opportunity to attack multiple sides of the field with this play. Read number one is always going to be the running back on the flat, and then of course the drag ran by the tight end. Read number two is either going to be the in ran by the slot or the crossing route, and that's usually typically where the user isn't. If you see the user just like this, he's kind of hovering around the tight end, then you're going to want to look at the in route. But of course, if the user's right here, he's hovering over the in route, then you're going to look over the tight end when he goes over the middle of the field, just like that. So we'll look at the RB real fast on the flat. It's a very self-explanatory, just like that. Go over the middle of the field, pick up the quick, easy 5 yards. I gave up on resetting the blocking assignment. Even though it's such a simple adjustment, I hate doing it. And then of course the drag route over the middle of the field, great read number two. And of course we're going to force our opponent to shade his coverage underneath, or else we're just going to dink and dunk all day. Now we're going to look at read number two. In this case, it's going to be the crossing route who gets open across the sideline. We already talked about the diagonal in, but of course the crossing route occupies the hook defender a little bit more, so you have a little bit of a wider window to be able to fit that ball in the middle of the field. And the only reason why I would call this the more advanced assignment, the advanced play to run, is because there are just so many more adjustments that you have to make. So you just have to be a little bit quicker with your fingers once you do have the ability on the play clock to be able to make the adjustments. So that is going to be PA crossers. I really like this play because of course it gives you the ability to attack vertically, sideline, and underneath on this play. And you usually don't have the opportunity to do that with plays. Usually you kind of have to pick a side and then stick with it and run those route combinations. But with this one, you have the ability to attack all sides of the field with multiple different variations, so the opponent can't key in on exactly what you're doing. Let's keep it moving. Dagger Sit is next on our list, and you guys already know I really like mesh concepts and I really like dagger concepts, so it's no coincidence both of them are in this scheme. So we got a really interesting route combination in this play specifically. We could run this play completely stock, or we can make some other adjustments, and we'll talk about those adjustments later on. The first read on this play is actually going to be the tight end on the sit route, and you know what, it is a very unique sit route where not many zones play it properly. I believe cover 2 will play it, but that is kind of one of the only ones that I've noticed will play it properly. Some variations of match might play it properly, but not all the time. So in a downward pass lead, right as soon as he's about to turn around, will give you a nice 8 to 10 yards on a possession cat. Read number 2 on this play is going to be the whip route ran by the slot receiver. And of course, whip routes, very self-explanatory, but why I wanted to talk about this whip route is that you have multiple windows where you could throw it. Just like the first one we talked about in gun split offset. You can hit it as soon as he's about to cut towards the middle of the field, just like that. And then of course you could rag catch it up the field. But the only thing when you do that is you're not able to do this and attack the sit at the same time. You kind of have to pick and choose your option on which one you want as read number 1, because both of them supersede read number 1 if you want to hit the whip on the initial cut or the tight end on the sit. So that's why I kind of recommend hitting the whip route as the secondary read on this play, so that you're able to give yourself enough time to be able to look at the sit. And of course you're reading the curl flat defender to see, does he dip underneath towards the whip so you can hit the dagger, or does he commit to the dagger for you to hit the whip? So in this case right here, we're going to shade our coverage underneath because we hit the sit multiple times, we hit whip multiple times. Now the opponent shade his coverage underneath, and you're going to notice a nice hole in the zone for you to hit that in route. And a lot of times you're going to notice that middle linebacker that has the HB highlighted over him will play the seam streak ran by the inside tight end, making it so you can actually hit the crossing route over the middle, or the dagger route over the middle of the field if pressure doesn't come screaming. I forgot to reset the blocking adjustment, and you saw exactly why that you do that. So we'll do that one more time, and I even blocked the running back. So just like that, and you're going to notice that the push out route ran by the seam will allow you to hit the middle, over the middle of the field for that dagger. And last but not least, a lot of the times you're going to be able to hit that seam streak ran by the tight end, the inside tight end, over the top. Sorry, that was a lot to go over in a short time. If you have any questions, make sure to say it in the comments down below so I can answer it properly. I'm trying to make sure this isn't an incredibly long video and don't bore you guys completely. There is a lot of information, so it's a lot to soak in. So I'll do my best to help you guys out as much as possible. So that is going to be the first variation on this play. So the second variation of Dagger Sit does have a lot of adjustments. First, we're resetting the pass blocking protection from the offensive line. Now we're going to take the outside tight end X. We're going to put him on a streak. We're going to take the inside tight end triangle and we're going to put him on a deep cross, just like, and we basically created another variation of dagger on this play. What we're also going to do is take the circle slot receiver and we're going to put him on a drag just so he can pull the underneath defenders for us to be able to hit the crossing route and the in route over the middle. What we're also going to do is put the running back on a flat so we can actually give ourselves an underneath route for initial read to pull the underneath defenders down for the in. We also want a reason for our opponent to shade his coverage underneath, which is why we want the drag to one side and then the flat to the other side. Sorry, that was a lot of discussions and talking. So of course, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments down below for me to answer all the questions. So we'll call hike and then we'll throw it to the third read on this play, which is of course the crossing route, which is ran by the tight end, because we're going to skip the flat and the drag because I've thrown it multiple times throughout the video. I'm not going to waste your guys' time. And then of course we'll talk about the issues we might run into when running this play. So of course a nice outside pass lead will give us a nice chunk yard opportunity. So real fast, I'm going to go into instant replay and you're going to notice one of the issues that we have in this alignment is sometimes the tight ends will help block and chip the defender on this play. It's really good for pass protection help, but it's bad if they are an initial read on this play because it delays the route combinations. Right now the drag is hanging out right here, which, I mean, he is open and realistically we should have hit him, but of course I was forcing it to the tight end, and an upward and out pass lead will give us the opportunity to do that just fine. But of course I wanted to discuss real fast that as he's open as well, the tight end helping out and chipping the edge rusher before he goes on his route to showcase that, hey, he is prioritizing pass protection over his route combinations if he sees an edge rusher over the top of him. And again, it has its positive, it has its negatives. You get a little bit more protection in the pocket, but then the route combinations that you throw out take a little bit more time to develop. So take what you will with a grain of salt. And of course, read number 4 is going to be the backside in. As soon as he cuts over the middle, a nice pass lead down and out will give you a nice chunk yard. So that's going to be Dagger Sit on this play. I really like it because it adds a lot of variation to the previous plays that we talked about. And of course, the adjustments on it make it difficult to stop. Whether you're running it stock or with our heavily adjusted variation of it, this play is nasty. Now we're going to talk about spot quads. And I like this one because the corner route ran by the inside tight end gets over the top on almost every zone. You're going to have to custom stem it all the way up if you want a chance to stop this tight end corner route. So the adjustments on this play are really simple. All we're going to do is take the outside trips receiver, in this case square, and we're going to put him on a streak. And after that, we're going to take the slot receiver and we're going to put him on a drag, just like that. And after that, the reads on this play is going to be the drag from the slot, the in from the tight end, and then the corner out by the inside tight end, and then of course the check down from the running back. So of course, you know, a drag's a drag at this point. I'm not going to waste your guys' time on that one. Let's keep it moving. But of course, read number 2, we're going to look at the tight end, and of course they both help chip, but in a downward pass lead will give him positioning to always box out the middle linebackers. And you're going to notice that I'm not even going to shade the coverage underneath. You're going to notice that he's just able to get over the top of the zones for you to be able to attack the sideline. That is a chunk gain opportunity where the opponent must set his zone drops either incredibly high or he must custom set his zone drops to be able to stop that corner out. We'll do it one more time just so you can see. We'll do it one more time. You're going to notice that tight end helped chip for a moment, and then as soon as he cuts across the sideline, there is a nice void in the zone for you to hit him. And then last but not least, let's look at the running back. In case they do stem up their zones, to make sure to stop the corner out, you get that opportunity to go underneath for a quick 5 yards. And real fast, we're going to look into cover one man to look at that corner out to see, does he do a good job at beating his man? And realistically, no, he does not. So this corner out isn't the best at beating man defense. If you know your opponent audibles to man defense just like how we did, I would recommend hot routing a corner out just like this. These hot routed corner outs on the tight end position on the line of scrimmage is money because they have a much more stricter cut to the sideline. So a down and out pass lead on a a hot routed corner route from a tight end on the line of scrimmage is a lot stronger at beating man defense than the default one on the play art that we're currently running. That makes sense, just like that. So one more time, I'll go to main defense so you can see this is the hot routed corner route. Let me reset the play, and this is the stock corner route. We don't want the stock corner route if we know our opponent is in man defense. We want to hot route it to this one to make sure that we have a better ability to meet man defense. And even with all that pressing, jamming, and colliding, we're still able to make the play. So this is a very basic play, but is a very effective play. And of course, if there is a predetermined pass block protection, make sure to reset it as well. So that's going to be last play we're going to be talking about in Gun You Off Trips Week is going to be Levels Out. And I really like it because it's super basic and very easy to run. You don't have to make any adjustments on this play, but you can to the outside tight end X. You could put them on any route that you feel comfortable with, like a streak, corner, flat, wheel, anything that you would like. Right now, I'll keep them on a streak, but realistically, it does not matter. Read number 1 is going to be the wheel route ran by the inside tight end. Read number 2 is going to be the in route ran by the outside receiver. Read number 3 is going to be the other deep in route ran by the slot. And what you're going to notice, if the crow flat defender, slot defender, presses the slot receiver, an outside pass lead is needed for the wheel route. And of course, take it across the sideline, turn upfield, and try to pick up whatever you can. It is a phenomenal read number 1. If you see that slot corner, press that receiver. You just go with the outside, move upfield, pick up the easiest yards. You must force the defense and the opponent to stop pressing and shading his coverage underneath. And of course, once he does that, we have basically won on this play. So now he plays that properly, but the in route ran by the outside receiver is wide open. And even if you are late to the read without the opponent pressing shading his coverage underneath it, the in route has such a great window in the middle of the field for you to attack it. And of course, if the user manually guards the in route, like I do have it manned up, then you're going to notice a nice hole in the zone for that backside in ran by the slot receiver. So wherever your opponent goes, you have an option. And whatever your opponent shades his coverage, you have the ability to go to the opposite side. The wheel route, if he presses, the in route if he shades his coverage underneath, and then if he manually guards the in route, you're going to the backside in. Such an easy play to run. And of course, you can still attack this in route ran by the outside tight end on the in route, if you will. If you want, you could put them on anything. Like if you want to put them on a smaller out, just like that, a baby out, you can, and it's super easy to attack it, forcing your opponent to shade his coverage underneath. And of course, if you want to put them on a streak and attack the seam, you can do that, just like that. Or if you want, you could put him on, say you want to put him on a drag for another route underneath, just like that, attack the drag, and then of course move the coverage up the field. So that is going to be Levels Out on this play. Before I end the video, we'll talk about run plays real fast. And of course, inside zone, it's going to take the cake. That is the staple. The RPL alert, also great. The read option is also really fun. HB power is good, and it's also bad. You're either gaining a bunch of yards or you're losing yards on this play. There's no real in between for me, I've noticed, but I kind of like running that high risk, high reward. If I need a little bit more yards on like a 3rd and 5 and I'm trying to milk the clock, then I'll call this one, hoping that I'm able to pick up those easy yards for the first down. Or if not, then you know what, 4th and 8, and I'll just throw it to Levels Out, whichever play that we want to go over in this formation for the first down. So that's going to be the Titans playbook. I think wing slot offset and U off trips week are some of the best formations in Madden to be able to properly control the clock and move the ball down the field. But other than that, if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe, and comment down below on what you would like to see next. Other than that, good luck, everybody.